open skate. Basically, that would replace the pond. So we'd still operate both of them. But the refrigerated one would be operation. We could actually operate it up to about 50 degrees, maybe 60 degrees outside of ambient temperature. Could vary based on humidity and stuff. So it'll definitely get us through those warmer periods in the wintertime. So we could probably go from, October to March sometime of operating it. And looking at the numbers, we think we can operate it in the black and, be able to pay it. We're gonna have to take out a loan for most of the equipment, so we'll be able to, do that.
So thanks, Brian. We've been working with Brian and Todd of the Todd Stone of the Hockey Association for a number of years now. This, just like the Baseball Association or Soccer Association, this is how we make our parks better. So we kind of, we're really big believers in trying to use some of this public money to help accentuate these private dollars in order to get big return. And the city of Sioux Falls is an example right now. My firm's doing a study for them to do a bunch of new outdoor ice. So we actually have the ability to be in front of Sioux Falls and have something that's unique, which would be great. So, and that's it. I know, so if you add all that up in total, it's a similar budget to what we had last year. I know things are going to be tight and it's going to be an unfun discussion, but that's the reason why I at least wanted to take the time to walk you guys through it, to show you that it's very thought out. We spent a lot of time working on it, and if we need to make adjustments, let Barb know. So thanks.
Yep, thanks, John.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that effort. Actually, for the capital projects, we're a little less than
That's
We can buzz through revenue real quick. There's not much to do. Current taxes, property taxes, 1% CPI, 3.5% growth. Those are both certified to us. We can't exceed those. Sales tax has been relatively flat this year. We're about 1% below projected. So I'm not proposing at this point in time that we're going to increase that or change it. Licenses and permits, relatively stable. I tweaked up the building permits because we seem to be exceeding that 60,000 on a regular basis. The next page is where that says Split Rock Sidewalk TAC. That's that grant that we've applied for from DOT for the sidewalk from Cedar to Aspen over on Split Rock. And the one that I'd really like to get a handle on is the bank franchise tax, but I don't have a clue. If you see that, we budgeted 18,000 this year, which is fairly in line with what we've been doing. We got 73,000. So
they changed some formula on that, on how they distribute it, but
so I don't have a clue. The next page, charges and services. We've got the SRO wages. That reflects the new contract that was approved tonight. School and Baseball Association, our donations. The park fees that we collect as far as building permits. And then director's wages and supplies, that is for Kim at the chamber. They reimburse us. She's a city employee. They reimburse us for all of her costs. Page 4, down at the bottom, we transfer out of the water and the sewer fund 1/3 of the engineer costs into the general fund, because that's where we pay the engineers' salary and supplies, etc. from. And then 138,000 is our second bridge payment for the bridge on Redwood. We planned on taking that out of reserves.
Yep.
Revolving loan fund, nothing. Third penny sales tax. I'm not planning on any major changes there. Street maintenance fund. We talked quite some time ago about bumping it up a quarter a year. So we'd anticipated going from 150 to 175 in 2018. But at this point in time, I'm thinking maybe we just freeze it at the 150. We're bringing in, 480,000. If we bumped it up to that 175, we'd be looking at 560. So I think it might be good just to let it sit for a year.
Yep.
And then we've got a bunch of debt service stuff that, not much we can do with that. Moving on to page 8. We get into the Water Enterprise Fund, proposing a 1% increase. That's the CPI. And that's kind of what we've committed to at this point in time. That may need to be tweaked. Stockwell's is looking at our little 5-year rate projection software that we use from the state. And we're gonna throw that water treatment facility in there, as well as the towers. If we start building those towers, that's about $8 million in costs. And then if we look at that treatment facility, depending on what we do, it's gonna be somewhere probably between 9 and 13 plus. So we haven't plugged those numbers in, because that was always kind of out there a little bit further than 5 years. It's probably closer to 5, 4 to 7 would kind of be my guess.
Let's make it as gradual as possible
Yep.
rather than slamming this all
And,
at once.
and that's, when we look at the rates, we'll project where we need the rates to be, and we can ramp up gradually over the next few years. So, just as a note, you look at metered sales, and people are complaining about how come we didn't project this. If you look at years 13 through 15, we averaged a little over 1.5 million in revenue, which equates to X number of gallons. And then in 16, it jumped up $100 and some thousand. That equates to 30 to 50 million gallons of water extra in 16 above average from the prior years.
So we were doing it at 16.
Yep, it peaked up, and it all gets, our population trend and domestic consumption usage is following a fairly straight trend line. It's the summer usage that is just off the charts. Electrical, no major changes there. That's our utility billing, or the line on your account for the street light. Sewer is the same thing, 1% loan, or 1% increase in rates based on the CPI. And then we get to the golf course, and we're not proposing any increases in revenues at the golf course. You know, we've had our rates flat. We think we've kind of peaked out, at least with the 18-hole green fees. That's kind of our barometer, and that's $50 for 18 holes in a cart. And, you know, that's kind of the, I don't want to call it a sweet spot, but that's kind of the upper limit that we think. And that's where we get most of, you know, a large majority of our revenue comes from green fees and carts and booze.
I was gonna say, sell more beer.
So we're not looking at any increases in any changes in the golf course revenue streams. And that's where we're at. As far as discrepancies, but I shouldn't say discrepancies, proposed expenditures versus proposed revenues were about $700,000 difference. Obviously more expenditures than revenues, but that is certainly well within normal ranges at this point in the budget session. I would like to propose that we do another budget work session on the 14th, next Monday. What time works for you folks? Yep.
That'll probably be a couple hours.
Yeah, we'll start getting into the nitty gritty of the expenditures. We'll try to get through at least half of the expenditure budget. And we do have our golf outing that day, so if anybody's golfing,
Oh,
that
yeah.
it would count. Yep,
That's the 14th.
that's at noon. Yep.
Next month,
Yep.
14th? And what time? Same
Maybe
time?
we should do it at 6.
You want, let's go at 6.
6?
6.
Okay, all right. 6 p.m.
Yeah, it gives me a chance to be done with practice.
What?
Be done with practice.
Oh, yeah, you started.
Start Thursday.
It is that time of the year. And that's it.
I will entertain the motion for adjournment.
So moved.
A motion from Fish, second by Wells for adjournment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.